listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside, no, it's not our normal new host over there. That's somebody different, you see. Our normal new host is gone. He's missing in action.
We came back from the lake without him.
We did.
Yeah, he didn't make it. He didn't make it back from the lake.
He's gone. He drowned.
Well, there was a tragic otter accident.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we were there, right. And we encountered an otter while at the lake. Doesn't happen often, but there was an otter bathing on a rock, chowing down on a snake, just enjoying himself.
He was having a good time.
Sean was like, "Oh, otters are friendly. I'm gonna say hello," and he got close and. You know, he started clapping at him, and I think the clapping just triggered the otter, and it went straight for the jugular. So
we tried to do what we could.
Yeah,
we tried to save him right there on the rock. I'm
tried
wearing
to
a different
tell him.
shirt this week, by the way.
Yeah, you are.
I'm wearing the gray one, the unofficial Red Moon. It's not the
yeah.
the
I tried to warn Sean that
I just thought,
otters are
why not break up the terrible news of Sean's death by an otter by talking about my shirt.
I just didn't want to talk about your shirt. I was going to talk about the dangers of otter trespassing, you know, it's akin to touching prairie dogs. You just don't do it.
You don't do it.
You don't do it.
I mean, prairie dogs spread monkeypox, and you know, otters kill you by cutting your throat.
Yeah,
it's crazy. They're vicious animals. You don't get near them.
Two things you don't do.
You don't snap at them, and they won't snap at you.
Yep. Don't touch prairie dogs. And
they're slippery.
Don't clap
in the water.
at otters.
Yeah, don't do it. I like that. That's good advice.
Don't touch prairie dogs. Don't clap at otters.
No, Sean actually, we got back from the lake Sunday.
We did.
It was a long, great week, but of course, you know, he's got a family. He's got some things to tend to, and he wants to be at home with them this evening. And we were like, hey, man, completely understand.
I mean,
you've been gone for a whole week.
I've been gone for a long time.
You need to be with your fam
for many years.
And and also some other news. Good news.
There's news.
Your dad had surgery today.
Yeah,
on his
he's
knee.
not dead.
No otter got
Sean
him.
died. No, but yeah. No, my dad's knee is doing well. He had knee surgery, knee replacement. They've had to work on this knee for about the third surgery, I think. It's just been a ridiculous process. But he is recovering well, and so he may be watching with us. I'm not sure. I can.
Well, you know, Roger, if you are, thank you for tuning in.
He said he was going to try to watch because he's still in the hospital right now.
We hope your recovery is fast and quick.
Yeah, he's still in the hospital bed. He said he's going to try to watch, but he didn't know if he would be able to stay awake, and I don't blame him.
No, I don't blame him. He was up early this morning to get there.
So
he'd been waiting a while for this surgery.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I'm glad he's going to be hopefully up and mobile pretty soon. I know he'll be happy that the pain is gone with his new knee.
He'll be able to run marathons and do cartwheels.
Glorious. If only. It's going to be fantastic.
Glorious.
Well, and you know what? I'm going to put it out on Shout right now.
You should.
I am asking you to commit on this show.
Okay.
And if Melissa is tuned in or if Jacob's watching, who was at the lake with us too, if he can tell Melissa, I'm challenging both of you all. You all talked about it throughout the lead up to this last May.
Yeah.
But this coming fall, we're getting closer. That's when training season starts for the next year's mini, which is the Kentucky Derby Festival mini marathon.
I already said I'd do that.
You said you'd do it. You're committed.
Melissa already said she'd do it. We
all
did.
All right, good.
Yeah,
so we got it live on the show, taped. You're committed to doing the mini marathon because it's cheaper when you sign up in the fall, come October, November.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to sign up in the fall and we start a training regiment to get you ready, you're willing to commit to that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I didn't say I was going to commit to your training regiment.
No, not to mine.
Yeah.
Just that you're going to do the mini.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Because I am going to try to stay on top of you all. You know what I mean? But
I'm going to do my thing.
No, that's fine.
Even if I walk it for 8 hours.
But I'm gonna give you all some good, tough love. I'm gonna try to stay on top of y'all because I know
if I have to block your number, I will.
That's fine. You can't block it forever. I know where you live.
Yeah.
And I'll be there on the window knocking while you're at work. And I'll just be like, you get out there and you train.
I'm a stubborn person. When people start getting overexcited and hoorah, that doesn't motivate me. I tend to just go the opposite way.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
You got to belittle me. Be like, oh, you're worthless. You're because
trust me,
when
that's
you tell
coming.
me when you tell me I can't do it, that's when I want to do it.
Yep.
If you try to prop me up,
Well,
you can. Then I'm like, nah.
No matter, and you and Melissa, I don't care how you finish.
It's reverse psychology. That's what works for me. You got to tell me that you don't believe in me, and then I'll do it.
So wait, when you tell me it's reverse psychology, is it really reverse psychology?
I didn't say it was opposite day. I said reverse psychology is what works for me.
I'm just saying. But if I have to reverse it in my head,
you don't have to reverse. Yeah. Maybe it's too complicated now.
But no, I am committed. I'm committed to helping you and Melissa achieve this goal because you all said you would do it. And I will even say, I don't care how long it takes you to finish, as long as you finish, I will be there at the finish line waiting for you guys. Just like Jacob and Melissa were for me this year. They were there waiting for me, cheering me on, and I needed it. It was fantastic. It was awesome to have that support. But I will be there watching you all cross that finish line, no matter if it takes you 4 hours or 5 hours, however long it takes.
I'm planning on taking 2 days.
2 days? Okay, well, you probably will get hit by a car because the streets will be open
they won't
at
be
that
blocked
point.
off anymore. No, I don't plan on. Good Lord, I can't.
Hey,
I don't. 2 days is a long time.
I'll challenge you, okay? And you tell me if this is a decent enough challenge, okay? And we'll get on to the show. I know, but try not to be the last person crossing the finish line, because that's usually the one with the it's like it's either a truck with lights on it or an ambulance. Yeah, that's pushing the last person.
I feel fairly positive I can be not the last person.
Good deal.
I've seen those old women out there. I think I can out power walk them. I think I can do it.
There you go. I'm putting you to it. I want to see it.
I can do it.
All right, good deal. We'll all right. It's coming. Training season's about to hit. Fall is coming. We're told you to it. But we got a great show planned. We got some good headlines. Got a good multimedia segment talking about PlayStation, trying to get into the mobile gaming scene. But we're also going to talk about a movie that's been on the scene for quite a while.
It's had some popular buzz.
It's here's the thing. I think we're kind of late to the game.
We are,
because it's gotten a lot of buzz in terms of some smaller
I don't know
circles.
If we're late to the game or just right on time, because it is getting a re-release in October. So I think we're right there to promote it for its second go around.
All three of us, I think, have heard about this movie prior to finally watching it. We finally committed to sitting down and seeing it.
I hadn't heard of it until Sean mentioned it. But,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I had heard about it from like two people at work. It came out on Netflix in March. I just took a while to watch it. I'd heard about it, but I was like, oh, I'll check it out. And it kind of went to the bottom of my list. Haven't seen it.
It was the announcement of the Forrest Gump remake from India that was when Sean, and that actually didn't look bad. I mean, that's not going to be as good as Forrest Gump, but that was what was funny is Sean sent that link and he's like, you got to check this out. And I thought maybe he was making fun of it, but then when I watched it, I was like, surprisingly, as ridiculous as it looks halfway decent. He's like, I know. And then that's when he said the thing about RRR, which is what we're reviewing.
Yep.
Just released that. There we go.
I also do have to have a disclaimer about the review.
Disclaimer.
So I edited the review last night.
Yeah.
Got it posted. Yeah. Got it scheduled to release.
I don't know. Did I tell you that the second file was the one you needed?
Yeah.
I don't think I did.
Oh, I figured it. Well, anytime there's more than one.
You had to figure it out when the first one just ended and didn't complete the review. But.
Yeah. But it was funny because I got it all done.
Yeah.
Posted it. And of course, I was thinking that, a foreign movie would be a little bit more lax in terms of copyright. No, it wasn't.
No.
So we got not a copyright strike, but the video got blocked. And I went on and I tried to dispute it. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to dispute it. Screw it. I don't expect them to clear the copyright. So what I ended up doing was just putting up a disclaimer on the screen that you'll see during the review. So obviously there is a video review, but you can't see it because YouTube won't allow it. So you can hear the audio. The audio's not blocked. It's fine. You'll hear the review. You just won't see the video that matches.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Kind of goes back to our old school days where we didn't really have video.
You just have to listen.
That's right.
Just listen.
That's all you got to do. So without further ado, we reviewed it at the lake. We watched it down there, and we have our own opinions. But let's just dive into the review. Here is our review of, as I heard him say it in one of their interviews, RRR.
The state of the film industry has been derided by many in the last few years, with people tired of Hollywood regurgitating the same content repeatedly, with forced ideals and messages preached to you, or mindless franchise films choosing spectacle over substance. American audiences are beginning to discover alternative forms of entertainment. Whether it be American films produced outside of Hollywood's influence, or foreign works, non-Hollywood films are gaining traction. Boosting audience interest in foreign films are streaming services such as Netflix, which has licensed thousands of hours worth of content from overseas sources. One such film that has caught the attention of American audiences is RRR, an Indian Telugu language film. RRR has been making waves, receiving one of the largest releases for a Tollywood film in both India and worldwide. The film caught the attention of critics who have highly praised it. It has shown in IMAX theaters overseas and in limited Cinemark XD theaters in America, before finally landing on Netflix, where audiences have fallen in love with it. But what is it about RRR that has made it such a success? Telling a fictional story about two real-life Indian revolutionaries, Alluri Sithrama Raju, played by Ram Charan, and Kumaram Bhim, portrayed by Rama Rao, in their fight against the British Raj, the British force which occupied India from 1858 to 1947. The film highlights an undocumented period of time in which not much was known about each figure, and imagines them as having met prior to their historic works. The movie itself is full of what most American audiences think of in regard to Bollywood/Tollywood filmmaking. Action and set pieces are over the top, laden with explosions and ridiculous special effects, many of which are plagued with poor CGI. There is melodrama and dance numbers and tons of camp and humor. There is also, however, charm, a genuine look at serious themes such as friendship and sacrifice and fighting for freedom. Yes, there are over-the-top title cards and laughable moments with every action sequence, but much of this is also part of the culture of Indian filmmaking. And I never felt the film tried to take these moments too seriously. Yes, there's camp, but much of it is done for sheer entertainment. It may seem silly, hell, a lot of it is silly, but the excess complements the film more than it detracts. Even in its most melodramatic moments, including a best friend montage and overacted scenes of anguish and joy alike, much of the overtop nature complements rather than detracts. Acting ranges from serious to melodramatic or campy, just like everything else in the film. But the two leads never feel inauthentic, with camp coming in moments that are meant to evoke laughter, serious acting where needed, and again, over-the-top performances while somewhat goofy, still effectively driving home the point in an overtly entertaining way. The drama gets the point across about the struggle for freedom against British occupancy, and it hypes up audiences when the heroes fight back. And while it all seems like a frantic mess, the film really isn't as all over the place as it feels. Yes, sometimes there are random fights between a wild tiger, but generally each scene, whether it be serious, campy, or even a dance number, is geared toward furthering the plot. Ultimately, RRR is like a puzzle where none of the pieces match, yet they still fit together to make an amazing picture. It works, it's fun, it has enough character development and emotion to keep you invested, and most of all, it entertains. It won't attract all audiences. The style of Indian filmmaking will not appease all audiences, and many may find it too different or bizarre. Even still, RRR has found an American and worldwide audience, and will continue to do so, because it offers something Hollywood has forgotten. A fun, entertaining experience that doesn't preach at you and still has substance while being unique. I give RRR 3 out of 4 stars.
Wow. I didn't come back to that camera. I just, didn't want our audiences, members to vomit.
I that's what they get if they watch RRR.
Well,
Rise,
I will
Roar,
say,
Revolt.
There are tons of different scenes in that movie that are over the top and, well, they don't make you vomit, but they definitely, vomit with enjoyment. Can you do that? Is that
maybe
a thing? I switched my shirt, too. I wanted to be official.
Yeah.
So I got the official Red Moon shirt.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
That gray one's not official. Plus, it made me look fat. Alrighty, let's talk about RRR, or triple R?
Rise, Roar, Revolt.
I like it.
That's the American.
Well, that's just the name of it.
Well, no, the actual name is in Telugu, and it means something different. But to keep with the to keep with the alliteration, the English version is Rise, Roar, Revolt because it still reflects kind of the theme.
Well, wait. But it's still triple R.
Yeah, it's still triple R. It's just that they don't mean Rise, Roar, Revolt. It means, I think it's like blood something. Like what they mean like is different. But they still evoke the same theme. So, in order to maintain the alliteration in English, they made it Rise, Roar, Revolt. But it still evokes the same themes of freedom fighting.
But
basically.
are the three R's in the Telugu language?
Yeah,
they actually all start with R's.
Yeah, they all start with
okay.
R.
All right.
Yeah,
I just wanted to clarify.
Actually, I was reading it was in pre-production just the working name because the director's last name is Rajamouli, and then of course the actor Rao and then Ram Charan. All of their names have R, so it was actually Ram Rajamouli Rao or whatever order they were in, and that was just the working title RRR, and then they just decided to keep it and they made the actual. They changed it from their names to something
doesn't
that
mean fire, water, and
no. Those are just the chapter titles.
I like that though. That was good.
Oh, that they highlighted are.
There were
It was a fun movie.
It was a very good movie, and surprising in the sense that I too agree. 3 out of 4 stars. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if Sean passed along. He was here. He was talking to you a little bit earlier.
He did not state. I don't know. I mean, I know he likes the movie, but I don't know to what extent or what his rating was. So we will have to get that from him at another time.
I'm going to assume 3 out of 4. I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Yeah.
But I'm going to assume that, and we'll see if maybe he's watching. Who knows? Maybe he'll reach out to us and say,
"Let us know, Jonathan.
Tell us what your review is.
Tell us
official score.
Just give us a quick comment."
But ultimately. I think what I liked about it the most was that it didn't forget how to be fun.
Yeah.
And far too I think I told you right after I finished the movie. We watched half of it at the lake, the other half when we got home because it's a 3-hour movie.
I watched the whole movie again.
Oh, you did? You rewatched from the start?
Since I have to write a review, I wanted to make sure I caught all the because we goof off and don't. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure all the nuances. Plus, I was determined to watch the original language version.
Bring that up. You wanted to bring this up about the whole ridiculous nature of.
Well, because we didn't know the version at the lake. There was some English with subtitles and I didn't know what if that was the authentic version or whatnot because foreign movies tend to get dubbed for whatever country they're going to, which makes sense. What doesn't make sense? So Netflix has this movie. Apparently the way India license out films is they do the licensings by language dubs. They don't just license the film and you dub it however you want. I don't know. It was goofy to me. But Netflix got licensing for several languages, including English, but they have to make an English dub, and who knows if they're going to... They paid for the license for it. I would assume they're going to pay to do the dub at some point, but it's not on there yet. There's no English version on Netflix. If you want to watch it in English, I'm sorry. The closest you can get to the original language is Hindi. They have a Hindi version on there, which is a prominent language in India. Bollywood tends to make movies in Hindi. Tollywood, which is who made this movie, does Telugu and Tamil language films. The Telugu version is not on Netflix. That's the way it was filmed. And I thought that was odd. And even the director said he really appreciates Netflix for getting his film out there because he never thought he could make a movie that would resonate with Western audiences. But it did annoy him that they didn't license the original language version. Now, the Hindi version does have the 2 main actors dubbing the movie in Hindi, so at least you still hear the actual actors. But yeah, none of the mouth movements match the languages.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it wasn't until you brought this up that I the only way you can watch the Telugu version in the States is through the theatrical release.
Yes.
And that's very limited at this point, even though they're re-releasing it in October.
Yeah, they're supposed to re-release it in October, but even still, it's going to be a limit. I mean, it's
not going to be all over 50 states.
While it is getting popular in a lot of reviews from people on Netflix, it's not a movie that's going to warrant a massive release like that. It is one of the biggest releases to come out of India, though. I did read that. It's been released in IMAX overseas, and they did release it in XD theaters here in America, so that is impressive. And I mean, I do see why it is gaining popularity and why people are attracted to it, because I mean, it's fun, it's entertaining.
Right.
It does. I mean, sometimes yes, it is over the top a lot, but it does still hit emotional moments. It has substance.
Well, it's like I told a couple people at work after seeing it. I was like, my thought is, it doesn't tell any kind of new story.
No.
Story beats that are in this movie are something that you've seen before. Mm-hmm. There's nothing new. I mean, but anybody could say that since honestly, since you go back to the biblical era, it's like there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
And truth be told, there's nothing new plot structure-wise here. But it still does a fantastic job of telling the story it does tell in such a not only cohesive manner and interesting, but in a bombastic cultural way that comes from a different country that is unique to not only that country, but unique to something you've seen before. And to me, honestly, it took me back to my college days when I watched a movie with my buddy Logan, our good buddy Logan, and another friend of mine, Andrew. We watched this movie called Ong Bak.
Oh yeah, that's a very popular foreign film. It's good.
It is. Yeah, it is.
There's
and I
three
remember,
of them, I believe.
And we actually started with 2.
Oh, okay.
And it was interesting because when I remember watching Ong Bak 2, and it's got these over-the-top action scenes, but they're done so well that it's just riveting to watch. And it's in such a different art form than what you're used to in kind of a gritty, real visceral, down-to-earth nature that you see in a lot of American cinema.
Yeah.
And even a guy at work kind of brought up the fact that it's like, you think about CGI even with regard to films we have here in the States and how they try to make something that's fake but look realistic in the sense that you can't tell that it's CGI, even though it's not real, whether it be a monster or something in Thor or whatever.
The live-action Lion King, which was nothing but CGI. Which is not live action.
It's not live action. It's friggin' CGI.
Yeah.
But it's so funny how in this culture, there's definitely times where I think they're trying their best to mimic real life, but then there's also times where it's like they know it's ridiculous and over the top.
Well, I think they also know like what their budget is, and they obviously aren't making movies at the same budget as a Hollywood film, and I think they make do with what they have in a way that they say, look, we can strive for hyper-realness and blow our budget, or we could do something where we acknowledge that maybe this is a little fake, but we go over the top. It's fun. And I mean, that's what I loved about this movie was that even in the over-the-top moments, they still served a purpose to the story. Yes, some of it may seem silly to Western audiences, but even small details that I didn't know about because I'm not Indian, but these two characters are based on real revolutionary figures in India. The story itself is completely fictitious. It's not based on anything historic, but the characters were historic figures. And there were certain things just based on like kind of the lore and legends of like how people hype up historic figures. So like the one character Beam, there's the scene where like obviously he fights the tiger, and then there's the scene where he's holding the other character on his shoulders. Apparently like he was known for being very strong, so like that was part of the reason they highlighted a lot of those scenes with him where like he's just doing these superhuman things because it's just kind of part of the legend of that historic figure. And then of course the other character, I forget certain things they said he was known for, but they kind of incorporated in all of the over the top moments little things that we as Western audiences won't recognize because we don't know the history or lore behind these characters.
Right.
But Indian audiences would get a kick out of it because it's kind of like our Fast and the Furious, only better done. I would argue this is much better. But still, the extent of
this was on par with the
excess.
ridiculous nature of like Fast 5, not Fast 9.
Yes. It has a ridiculousness to it, but it's fun. It always comes back to the grounded story, and I would argue that the characters I felt were better done in this than any characters in Fast. The characters in Fast and the Furious are all hollow stereotypes.
Yep.
I mean, they're fun movies, but there's not a lot of depth
the
there.
emotion is very thin, and actually, I would even say no. This is probably.
I was say this is better than Fast and the Furious.
It's weird
in that regard.
It's funny though because the over the top moments I think surpass that of Fast 9.
Yeah,
but they're still done in such a more
they don't shoot anybody into space, so.
But it wouldn't have surprised me if they did.
Yeah,
I mean the thing is there's some parts in this film again. I don't know. It's how you view it from a different cultural standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you're going to Fast and the Furious, you expect some crazy stunts, but even some of the ways in which they're portrayed are not so over the top that it's literally sad that it's like, okay, no, you actually do want me to somewhat believe this is possible.
Yeah.
Even though it's absolutely ridiculous. Whereas in this film, like they're like, no, we know it's ridiculous and we're going to go so over the top that it's just amazingly cool when you watch it.
Yeah, so many of the fight scenes. I mean, even when Ram is first introduced in the film, and he's working for the British Raj,
friggin' amazing,
and he's standing behind the fence while these people are rioting. And I mean, just even that over the top, like where he basically takes on this whole entire crowd of thousands of people.
It's awesome.
It's ridiculous, but it's fun because you could tell that they don't expect you to believe that this is actually happening or possible. They know it's like, this is impossible, but it's fun to watch. And that's what I loved about it.
And there's just so many. It's funny, too, because I remember the guy at work who first told me about this was telling me, I was like, well, what kind of genre? What kind of genre is it? I was like, is it suspense? He was like, it's hard to explain. He's like, it's an Indian film. He was like, he's like, it has musical elements. It has dance numbers.
It is an action blockbuster, but I mean,
right?
That's the most generic thing I think you can label it. Honestly,
no, really,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, it kind of makes me think of a Baz Luhrmann film here.
Yeah.
I mean, as many different directions as it can go, but. Obviously, the last entertaining piece of film, truly entertaining. Yeah, we liked Elvis. We reviewed it favorably on the show.
Yeah.
But by far, his most memorable work, and I think his best, is Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you think about it in that regard, it kind of fits in that same element of just over-the-top nature, in that vein, at least. But I was really taken aback by the serious tone at certain points of the film and how down-to-earth it got. But then immediately would follow it up with something bombastic and crazy, and yet it all seemed to mold and be melded perfectly well.
Yeah.
It did surprise me. It made me, again, just like watching a Kurosawa film, from that culture and seeing a different type of art or the same type of art, movie, filmmaking.
Yeah.
But done in such a vastly different way than the taste. I mean, it gives you, a tapestry of just different eclectic, mixtures that you didn't necessarily think you needed or wanted. But once you get it, you're like, man, it's awesome. I want more of that.
And I think, because for me, I've always had, mostly with anime, but also just foreign film in general, because I've always loved finding really great foreign films, and I think that's why, because so many that I have fallen in love with, like Pan's Labyrinth, of course, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was huge in America, but you mentioned Kurosawa, Seven Samurai, is an amazing film. Devil's Backbone, which is another Del Toro movie.
Yeah, I didn't even think about including Del Toro in there. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, Pan's Labyrinth, I love that. It's a Wonderful Life is one of the best movies I've seen. I mean, not It's a Wonderful Life. Life is Beautiful.
I was going to say.
Life is Beautiful.
Roberto Benigni.
Yeah, Life is Beautiful. Don't want to butcher it because you should check that one out. But there are a lot of films that Western audiences tend to overlook, and some of the ones I mentioned actually are ones that did get noticed in America. But yeah, I think that is why I like finding those foreign films, just like RRRs, because you get something that is still relatable on a human nature, but from a different perspective of what Hollywood, especially nowadays, because Hollywood only has one perspective now, sadly. I mean, or two, I guess. It's
you're
be
right.
Your preachy soapbox films or your franchise films that are all style no substance.
They're long in the tooth.
That's all you get now.
It's so funny. You're exactly right. And I even told you after I finished watching this film, oddly, and it's like, I don't know anything about Indian, history. I haven't researched it. You don't need to watch this film to enjoy it. But obviously, there's definitely, they recall so many moments, I think, especially towards the end of the film, when there's kind of a montage of different Indian, historical figures. In a song. And I told you, I was like, I don't know anything about their culture. If anything, it either leads you into wanting to know more about it, or it could be, if you do know, like I said, there's certain movies that we have here in America that would touch on a historical figure, and there's some that you can easily say across the board nobody would ever. Your Martin Luther King Jr.'s, your JFK's. There's going to be these political or historical figures that have no ill will, put towards them. Yeah, you have fringes, but for the most part, everybody in agreement is we'll talk about how monumental they are.
Yeah.
And there could have been some of those they highlighted at the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I thought, I told you, I was like, it would be kind of funny if some of those, like in India, people see those figures like, that person doesn't need to be included. Because that's the thing. I don't know where they stand.
There probably are a
There's
few.
probably some that because I try not to liken it to Hollywood, because when I see certain universal messages from other cultures, I think you said it best when you were telling me about after writing the review. You were like, it's funny how Western civilization is so into damning itself right now and whipping itself for its heinous atrocities, and yet Eastern cultures are starting to pick up on this idea of emulating Western culture and highlighting the kind of breath of fresh air and the freedom that it's brought to the world, and in celebrating it in such a way that I felt like I was like, this definitely seemed like a patriotic film, in so much as it really kind of brought me back to even something like Top Gun Maverick as the most recent film in history or in memory that I can think of that kind of had, no, it wasn't this, America first, message, but it was definitely a patriotic, very much in salute to our armed forces and the Air Force and the Navy. And it's like, it gives you this idea of, okay, what it feels like to be proud. And I definitely felt like this movie, no doubt, by the end of the film, is unabashedly proud of its Indian history. And even to the point of talking about how one of the main messages of the film is bringing weapons to those who are fighting for their freedom. And it means literal guns. And they talk about briefly how that message is more than just, the tangible weapon. It also is the weapon of the spirit, the human spirit that rises above
to
it.
Fight,
right.
For your freedom.
But to still evoke that message throughout of, no, this gift of freedom that we are bringing to our people is far better and greater than oppression from another, from another state, another entity, another country impressing upon its values on us. And I do think that inherent in the American dream and in the American message, that is the beauty of what we, again, hope to exude and push out on the world stage. And it felt good to see a movie from a different perspective and from a different country having that unabashed patriotism that I feel like I want to see more of that in American movies. And like you said, it's so sad that Hollywood has relegated itself to only pumping out certain kinds of films these days that don't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
They don't even come close to that. And it's sad that I think you even brought it up too, that in the current culture we have a lot of like anime.
That's grown more popular.
There are definitely other art forms within the world of film that are being tapped for their better stories, their better characters, simply by virtue of almost still connecting to that human level, that human spirit level that Hollywood has seemed to have forgotten. And people are turning to it. And I definitely think this movie falls into that category, no doubt. I don't know if you want to add any more. I know I talked a lot.
I don't know that I have any more to add. No, it was a great film though. But I mean,
yeah,
I would suggest anybody check it out. If you're going to watch it, I would recommend doing the Hindi version on Netflix, since that's the best option available. But yeah, I mean, I think if you don't mind watching a foreign film that has mostly subtitles, I know some people can't do it, but if you don't mind that type of thing, yeah, definitely give it a go.
And there are English parts.
There are parts in English.
Appreciated the moments when you do have certain segments of different languages being spoken. They allow it, almost like if you're having a Spanish film or someone speaking English, or an English film and someone speaks Spanish. We've gotten better about it. And I mean, yeah, you can. I could definitely say that's one negative of past Hollywood, when it was just like, we'll give them an Hispanic accent, but they won't talk in Spanish. Well, now we typically do relegate it to, no, that person speaks Spanish, so we'll have them speak Spanish and put subtitles at the bottom. And that's kind of what you get with this film as well. But it is definitely, I watched the Hindi version. I appreciated it. There's an amazing dance number in it. It's just a fun, entertaining film. I say suck it up, enjoy the subtitles. And I don't know. It definitely lends itself into the category of wanting to see more of what other,
I mean, I've even looked, because the director has made 2 films prior to this that a few critics online have said are actually both good as well, and it makes me kind of want to check those out, because it's like, okay, if people are saying those are also good. They just didn't get recognized like this one was because for whatever formula that this caught on big because Netflix licensed it or whatever. But I mean, now I'm kind of interested just to see what he makes, and what he does next. So,
absolutely.
And sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, Del Toro is a major Hollywood director now, but he did start off making foreign films. So
yeah,
is it the guy that did Joon-ho, who did Parasite, is now getting more offers and stuff besides just making Korean films. So sometimes, I mean, all it takes is one hit film like this, making it big worldwide for, Hollywood to, of course, well, we'll give you a chance. We'll make you big because, Hollywood has to make it look like they're the heroes.
Right. Well, and I think that's kind of, again, it's so funny that they want to be the ones who drive that narrative home. But at the end of the day,
this diverse person an opportunity.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. They look at it from that perspective, whereas the rest of us just look at it as, it's a form of entertainment that we enjoy. But I also think it's interesting that all of these other countries, regardless of having fame or status, and there's some who I'm sure would argue, no, I don't care to be noticed anywhere else. But obviously, once you get that platform of being noticed in, I think, American culture or Western culture, you do have a bigger status. So you become a bigger status symbol. You've made it.
And I think they do look for that in the sense that not so much that they want to buy into whatever politics Hollywood are shoveling, but because once you do break it big within the Western culture, you have more opportunity for your work to be seen more.
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's why I said I brought up the weapons specifically because I think it's funny how it's got like a 96% on critic score. On Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it's hilarious that I'm like, if this were the same kind of movie made in America about American culture, it would be ridiculed.
Oh, well, when Top Gun first released, I mean, it's praised now because audiences love it so much that they kind of
it's overshadowed some of the left bad press.
They backpedaled, but when it first released, there were a few articles that were like, "Man, it really glorifies the American military. It's kind of sickening." And then because it blew up so big, everybody kind of backtracked and like, "Oh no, Top Gun's an amazing sequel." And it's like, yeah, it's amazing now because you realize how many people love it.
But I think too that so often we see this kind of. It's so funny because you could sit here and say that we're incredibly, narcissistic and self-centered as Americans, and it's like, rightfully so. I mean, it's kind of embedded in our DNA that we're independent, whether it be us being stubborn and bickering amongst ourselves, or rather, it's like, again, go back to the Revolutionary War where it's like, you can't tell us how to live, and I hate to say it, but it's like, I think that's the other kind of aspect to this, amalgamation of approval. It's like when you break through that barrier that is American culture of,
that's true too,
we have our own things we're interested in here and what we do. I mean, think about it with Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is a huge success, but it's not really because it is worldwide.
No.
It is in the Western cultures, within Europe and here.
But it's not popular amongst Eastern culture.
But it's not. That's where you get your friggin' Avatar. But again, it's interesting that once you have a third party, or a third world, or not even third world, but just, another country from outside of our own
sometimes
borders.
third world countries can do something okay too, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's why we celebrate them at the Oscars with foreign language film.
Yeah.
But no, and that's why I got to just best foreign film.
Yeah.
They ixnayed the language.
And I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to give this any Oscar buzz right now, but it has garnered a few awards and it's been nominated for some Saturn awards. So I mean, it's definitely caught the eye of people in the industry for sure.
No doubt they're wanting to pull that to get more because any filmmaker is going to tell you the same
I think
thing.
That's partially
which is
why you re-release it in October because you want to keep it fresh on people's minds as award season's coming up.
And any filmmaker is going to tell you the same thing. The idea behind making a movie is that you want as many people to see it as possible.
Well, yeah.
You want as many people to enjoy the work that you've created. And so, of course, they're going to just continue to try to, get their voices heard and get this work of art out there. And, Netflix, I know, did them a great favor, and they're appreciative of that. And I have to say, at least in so much as Netflix is the only ones on the block so far that I think have opened the door to that kind of success to such a marginal space.
There's other streaming services have a little bit here and there. Mostly, I would say anime because that's gotten so big. I know HBO Max and even Disney. I think I was reading they licensed the new season of Bleach, which blows my mind. So everybody's kind of playing catch up to Netflix now, realizing, hey, that's getting popular. That's bringing in subscribers.
Markets here.
So, so it is interesting to see the competition amongst all these places. And speaking of, I guess we can start getting into headlines because
let's roll that headline open. Let's
do it.
Get into that discussion.
Yeah, I mentioned Disney Plus, and it made me think of what I consider kind of more their direct rival, just because Disney and Marvel is Warner Brothers and DC.
That's right.
Because DC is... Well, they've been in disarray for a long time now, but the Warner Brothers Discovery merger is not helping at all.
No, and it's funny that we just talked about this a few weeks ago with the Batgirl cancellation, which now they're showing funeral showings.
The funeral showings are hilarious. Apparently, the directors are still like lobbying to Zaslav for him to release it, and they're doing these funeral showings in parking lots and or film lots and. Yeah,
I mean, like anything, and with the internet,
you made it.
Days,
Like you said, you want it to be seen.
Yes, of course, and you're proud of the work you've done, and of course, any artist is going to want it out there. And when the powers that be tell you no, it's going to fuel the fire even more. Especially at this point, it's like, what do you have to lose?
I will give them this because I don't. I know the article that you sent mentions that they would have had to spend at least another $50 million in marketing and distribution to give it a theatrical release. Out because it was supposed to be on HBO Max, and they decided that it just didn't fit what they want for streaming films. So I get them kind of being like, we're not gonna do this. We're not spending any more money. We'll just take the tax write-off. So I guess I can give them a little bit for sticking to their guns on that, because there are in the same article it mentions how there are some insiders who have said that they believe it was a mistake to do the Snyder cut of Justice League, because they thought if they gave fans what they wanted, they would shut up and go away. But instead, now
you don't feed the beast.
Now all the Snyder fans are no longer they got their Snyder cut, so now they want to restore the Snyder universe. They want
that's right,
and Warner Discovery, Zaslav said that's not happening. They're not going back to the Snyderverse. They're going a new direction.
Well, and they even mentioned it back when the Snyder Cut came out. But then it's like you still have the confusion of...
You give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want some milk.
But it's like you still had the problem at the time when the Zack Snyder Cut came out that you had The Flash still being played by Ezra Miller. Yeah. Never mind all the controversy recently.
That's still coming.
Gal Gadot, still Wonder Woman. Aquaman is still played by Jason Momoa, and then you also still have, I think, who was the other one? They weren't keeping. No, they were not keeping. What's his name as Joker?
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto was Joker.
What's his name is out as Cyborg, which I mean he kind of burned those bridges himself as well. I can't remember the actor's name.
But you still had three major characters coming back to play.
And then nobody knows what's going on with Henry Cavill. One moment they're saying no, he's done, and then the next I saw an article from Epic today saying there's rumors that they retooled The Flash and Aquaman to have a cameo of Henry Cavill as Superman. And I'm like, okay, you need to make a firm statement on whether you're keeping him or not. The whole back and forth.
Here's what you need to do.
He is dumb.
And I'm going to tell DC
just completely wipe the slate clean.
Exactly. That's all they need to do.
Yep.
Because the problem is they have for too long seen the success of Marvel. And this article brings this up as well.
Well, that's what they want now.
But the problem is Kevin Feige started in 2006 with Iron Man. Here we are in 2022. And in 2019, was it 19? Yes, 2019 was Endgame.
Yeah.
So you literally had over a decade of films leading up into the culmination and ultimately having to prove multiple times over and over again that the franchise was successful.
Yeah.
You've had multiple mixed feelings with every single entry in the DC universe since Zack Snyder held it. There is no reason for you to have released the Snyder Cut to appease fans, just to tease the ones who were hanging on to every last bit of Snyder, and then also disrupt and upset the new ones who you were hoping to bring aboard and say, hey, I'm willing to jump on with Wonder Woman. I'm willing to jump on with Gal Gadot. I'm willing to jump on with Aquaman and Jason Momoa. Absolutely, because those films were solid. We still got the Flash out there.
Yeah.
Or not Flash. Shazam.
Yeah.
Shazam. They're making a Shazam too.
Yeah, that's coming.
He's still in the DC universe. You have Black Adam coming out
and
this fall.
They want to keep Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, because they're popular. So and that's why I think it's pretty much at this point I don't think there's any speculation anymore, because it can really be the only reason. It's why they are so adamant at holding on to the Flash despite all the Ezra Miller things.
I think he's done.
No, they don't want to keep him. He's done after
I know,
this.
but I don't think they're going to.
They want to keep the movie. Oh no, they're adamant because that's their launching point. That is, they want to do the Flashpoint storyline so they can reset everything and use it as an explanation on how you keep some actors and not others. So it's like, we do Flashpoint, we do the multiverse, we reset everything, but some actors get to stay the same because they're very determined. They even keep hyping the movie up. Even that article says all the insiders are saying The Flash is their best movie so far. I saw one thing today that I thought was ridiculous. They said, early reviewers are saying The Flash is just as good as Nolan's Dark Knight movies. And I was like, no. So it's one of those things that I think they're intentionally trying to hype up The Flash by keep releasing these statements that early insiders are saying it's great because they want people to go in, see it, and use that as their reset point. And I think that's a bad idea. I agree.
It is a bad idea.
You just need to scrap it and start fresh.
Yep.
You don't need to reset. And I know you're afraid of upsetting fans by getting rid of Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot, but at some point, everything's in disarray because they also want to be able to still have the Joker too and Matt Reeves the Batman.
I was going to bring up the Joker
without the multiverse.
The best DC movie they have right now is Joker, and it's literally
it's tied to nothing.
Exactly. It's tied to what is it? A different universe entirely.
Yeah, it has no connection to any of the.
He's not. It's a completely different Batman, a completely different universe.
That's what I'm saying. Matt Reeves, the Batman's not connected to anything either.
I mean, at this point,
which is why I think they want to do Flashpoint, because then they can have an explanation of.
But you just had the Batman as well, which was successful come out.
That's what they're saying. They want to keep those, so if they do Flashpoint, they can say, well, now these are all part of different parts of the multiverse, like Marvel already had. But that's the thing, and even Marvel's multiverse setup has been poor in my opinion, but at least they had enough movies to kind of justify how you get to the multiverse, even though they haven't explained it that well themselves. DC,
that's been their problem.
They're still playing catch up.
Well, I would say Marvel's implementation has been poor. The setup was brilliant.
Yes.
The setup was perfect.
They just haven't done anything of interest with the multiverse, in my opinion.
But the setup and the implementation of this whole entire DC universe has been a debacle.
They rushed to get to Justice League to catch up to Avengers. Now they're rushing to do multiverse to try to clear the slate. And I'm like, no, quit trying to fix and just clean the slate for real. Wipe it all. Quit trying to course correct, because I think that's the problem. Is you're trying to course correct with a bunch of jumbled gibberish. You only really have Wonder Woman. That was a great movie. Aquaman was fine, but I wouldn't call it a great movie.
Right, agreed.
Even Shazam, I was funny and humorous, but it doesn't really have a place in the grander scheme of things.
And I hate to say, but the reason I keep dogging Black Adam is I'm like,
I don't think it's going to be good either.
I don't think it's going to be good.
And I'm getting tired of The Rock's hubris.
Agreed.
I used to love The Rock.
Yeah, but it's wore on me a little bit.
But it's starting to get, his ego is starting to get a little big, I think.
Well, and it's also a situation of it doesn't look any different than every other DC movie I've seen.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, maybe
it looks like it'd be right at home in the Snyderverse, and that's not a good thing.
Maybe a little bit lighter in terms of the tone. That's it.
Yeah.
With some of the humorous moments. But for the most part, it looks like the stereotypical DC movie that we've seen over and over again that has continued to fail. And I just don't understand, even with the Batgirl debacle.
Yeah.
This honestly, the Batgirl debacle and the bad press you got from it set you up brilliantly to just come out and say, you know what, it's all scrapped. Now, granted, I know they would have a huge problem in scrapping Black Adam. There's no way. Because
not at this point.
Not only have they just poured tons and tons of tons of money into promoting it, but I also think you have the problem of you've got an A-list actor like The Rock, who you probably already given millions of dollars to in terms of the deal. I mean, he's going to walk away happy no matter what, even if he doesn't have to return for a Black Adam 2, because I don't think it's going to be successful in that regard. And honestly, I think they're smart for just saying, at least we have in their projections
The
that
Rock's
they're
determined to make Black Adam the linchpin of the DC universe, and I'm like,
again, ego.
In what world? In what world does that need to happen?
No,
like some character
we
you never heard
know
of?
they're hurtling towards the Flashpoint storyline for the clean break. The problem is you already everything's already in disarray. There's no reason to create a Flashpoint storyline to say, oh, these kind of live on their own. You've already upset so many fans and non-fans. You're so far behind from Marvel and what you want in terms of success on the Marvel level. You really have nothing else to lose. You have nothing else to lose than to just scrap everything already.
They've already rearranged. They pushed movies back and rearranged their releases. So now Flashpoint's actually releasing before Aquaman, which makes little sense if it's trying to reset things, because it's like, okay, was Aquaman 2 filmed as supposed to having occurred before Flashpoint? Because if so, where does it fall into place after whatever reset may happen? And it is weird. Flashpoint is an event you should build towards, like Endgame, because it is such a massive story. And it's like, imagine like they did, or imagine, okay, Spider-Man No Way Home, but you didn't even know who Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield were. It's like, that was like your first introduction of them as Ultimate Spider-Man. It would make no sense. You'd be like, why do I care about them? Because you don't have the history there. It's hard to do a Flashpoint story when you don't have an entire history of DC, just like it would have been dumb to do Endgame when you don't have the history of all those characters.
Agreed.
It's like they're just rushing to get content out there and clean the slate when they just, like we said, just do it. Just clean it.
You know who else should probably clean the slate, or they want to clean the slate, but they're not going to have that opportunity?
Shia LaBeouf.
He may actually.
He might. He's Christian now.
He's cleaned the slate.
He came out and said that he lied about some of those things about his daddy. So
I saw that about the Honey Boy.
I just couldn't resist.
No, it was interesting. It was.
You
know, and I think a lot of people gave him flack when it was created, thinking like, oh crap, he had a terrible childhood, and he was kind of like, yeah, some of that's made up.
Yeah. I think he wanted people to think his childhood was that much worse, so he had an excuse for behaving like a jackass. But
but we know Will Smith behaved like a jackass at this year's Oscars, and apparently at I think it was in Arizona. I
actually find this funny, like
show that Chris Rock was doing.
Yeah.
He said he recently joked on the fact that he was asked by the Oscars, apparently, allegedly, to host for 2023.
And he turned
it down because of the Will Smith slap. So I think it's kind of funny.
He said it would be like asking Nicole Brown Simpson to return to the restaurant. And I love this. You should be able to joke about anything because Chris Rock gets that. No, but I thought it was hilarious. But yes, I agree. I thought the same thing. I was like, I completely understand. Like, that is totally something the Academy would do. Let's have you come back, because then we can act like, look, there's no hard feelings.
Well, of course.
Maybe we'll even make a comedic skit about it, because they would. If he came back, they would do a comedic skit next year where somebody gets slapped or something.
Well, Chris Rock would do it.
Yeah.
If Chris Rock wanted to. But again, I think Chris Rock is playing it from... He's going to make jokes where he benefits directly. Mm-hmm. When you show up on their stage, even if they allow jokes about it, because I think back when he did host not too long ago, he had even said something about, I got to create the jokes I wanted to. Like they didn't screen, almost like Ricky Gervais for the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
It was like
That's
they didn't
why the
screen
Oscars
it.
Won't hire him.
Which is funny because they would probably get a ratings boost if they did.
Oh, they would.
But it's like, and that's what they're doing with Chris Rock, and he knows that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you want me to come back and basically make it seem like everything's smooth and pretty much put your all's, ceremony on point by saying, oh, cool, he's hosting, so everything must be good, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't see Chris Rock as being petty.
No.
I just see Chris Rock as saying, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You all were the ones that didn't step in and do anything about this. He still won a freaking Oscar and got to talk after he slapped me.
He made jokes about, how someone could get famous for being the victim, and I think that's exactly what he doesn't want. He doesn't want to play the victim and then the Oscars benefit off that. It's like, look, he got all that happened last year, but we're brought him back this year.
Returning the favor for helping him out.
Why should he play the victim to give you a boost in whatever, in ratings and in just
Well, and even in Will Smith's recent apology that he came out and talked about, what was it, a month ago? He released a video on Facebook and he answered questions, and I'm like, I love that this isn't even live. This is still predetermined, and I want to be careful with my words, and I'm like, he still seemed bitter, and not towards the right person, which is not only himself, but I'm sorry, towards Jada. The way she responded or didn't, or the lack of thereof, the way that people in that room didn't respond at the ceremony. It's like he should not only be calling out his bad judgment in that moment, but the others that are responsible. And I don't think it's right for him to sit here and still point the finger at Chris Rock and say, now I've reached out to Chris, but Chris unfortunately hasn't, he hasn't returned my calls. Why would he?
Yeah.
You freaking embarrassed him on national TV, and it's not even an embarrassment. It's just an insult.
I was going to say, that's kind of a loaded apology anyways. You don't apologize to someone expecting them
to return your reply.
Yeah, it's like, look, you apologize because you're actually sorry for what you did, and you want them to know that you have remorse for that action. You don't apologize expecting them to reach out and say, it's okay, I forgive you. Like, no, like that's not, then your heart's not into your apology if that's what you're thinking.
Agreed.
So and
that's honestly, that's what I thought was so funny about this is I'm like, I love Chris Rock's response of, I'm not hosting your old show. And mainly because he knows too, that's the only reason they would want it, is like you said, to play off the victimhood status. And again, to draw viewers of Chris Rock. So what's going to happen?
Well, yeah, because
gotta tune
that
in.
gives them a viewing boost.
Right.
That's all the Oscars care about. They've been dying for years. Heck, last year they only had as many as they did because of the slap.
Right.
So.
Last year, you mean this year?
Yeah, well, last
last ceremony.
I'm referring because it'll be the new year when we get to Oscars. But
I just think it's funny that, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that they were, if anything, going to milk this for all it's worth. It's because they have nothing else to hang their hat on.
Yeah.
And if that slap hadn't have happened this year, it would have been just and even then, the ratings were abysmal.
Yeah, they're still bad.
The only thing was that it got shared. Yeah. That moment got shared, and the ceremony became relevant for that reason alone.
So they were higher than the previous COVID year, but that was it. And it's like, that's still bad.
And that was last. Yeah. What was that? Who hosted that year again? It was the three women.
Oh yeah, Wanda Sykes.
No, that was this year.
Yeah, that was this year. I don't know.
Who was it the last year?
They went hostless, didn't they?
They did hostless, but what's her name introduced it, and it was god awful, and they kept coming back to her. I'm forgetting her name. I don't know. It was terrible. I forget her name, but again, not memorable. But I applaud Chris Rock. I think he's making the right moves. He's continuing on his tour. He's getting tons of. That's how you continue to soak it up. You go out, you do your own thing, you joke about it to your audiences who you know are supporting you by actually coming to your comedic shows, and that's how you ride this wave out. You ride it out that way. And Will Smith, I'm sorry, you're still not the victim, bud. Doesn't matter if Chris Rock returns your apology or not. Give it some time, more than a year. I'm sorry, but on that kind of stage, in that kind of public light, I don't think Chris Rock owes you anything right now.
No.
If anything, you're the one that has to go into seclusion and figure something out. And a 6-month apology tour on Facebook, not going to cut it. Sorry, bud. All right, one last headline.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Our buddy Jacob shared this news with us, and I was actually very thankful he did, because National Cinema Day is coming this weekend.
What?
September 3rd. It's National Cinema Day, and you know what? There's some cinemas in America that are going to celebrate.
All of them? AMC? Cinemark?
Not all
Regal?
of them, but
Regal's going bankrupt. Maybe it's $0 tickets.
Not all of them, but all the biggest ones. Because Regal, Cinemark, and AMC. Even it's funny to say Regal is one of the biggest ones as it's going bankrupt. But
Chapter 11. So refi.
They're not going anywhere. They're just having some issues.
Reorganization.
But so far, a growing list of 3,000 theaters, it says, are offering $3 tickets on Saturday. Wow. AMC, because we have AMC Stubs memberships, so I got on to check and see. Ours is doing that, our local theater, Stony Brook. But They also are offering a combo of popcorn and Coke for $5, and I'm sure it's probably their smallest sizes. But hey,
now is worth it.
It's been a long time since they've offered something like that.
$5 Coke and
they
popcorn.
used to do that every Tuesday. You get a Coke and popcorn for $5. They got rid of that.
COVID.
Yeah.
And whatever other excuse.
Well, they needed money to invest on that gold mine.
Well, of course. We know that's where precious metals is where it's at.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's awesome that it's happening. I think it. Again, call me, glib and just trying to look on the what could be, because it's like if you can do this for one day,
they could
do it a lot more often, or at least like you said, one day a week. Even on a day that they want most traffic to come through, or little traffic because it's their least favorite day.
Or even if you don't do like some major like $5 combo, like at least like if you can afford to do this, and maybe you could afford to maybe shave off a couple bucks in general off of your popcorn and Coke.
Yep.
Like I know that's where theaters make the majority of their money. I completely get it, but when you start price gouging and overpricing for things, you don't entice people to spend money there. I mean, we experienced that at the lake this weekend. So, we were going to buy some ammunition from a local store, and it was
literally
3 times as much.
100% markup.
It was ridiculous. So yeah, and I feel the same way at anything. It's like, look, I get it. Times are crazy. Inflation's ridiculous, but when you're going even higher than what I would say inflation demands, because that at the lake they did, and I would say AMC's popcorn and Coke, popcorn's cheap. I'm sorry, $10 for a bucket of popcorn is.
Well, hell, you worked in the restaurant industry.
Restaurant injuries are bad.
I'm telling you, man. I had
a finger, man.
I had a fry basket incident on my arm, But no, you worked in that industry, and the thing is you told me they make hand over fist bank on Cokes.
Oh, Coke syrup's
which everybody knows. It's just syrup, and it's like what 80.
It's syrup and carbonated water.
Yeah. And they literally make what? It's like 5 cents per cup, and they're charging you like $5. It's a ridiculous markup.
It is. Yeah, I mean, because you're paying $30 for a big old massive box.
It makes however many servings,
and it makes hundreds of servings. I think it's something around at the time. I don't know what it is now. It may be smaller, but still, it was 70% profit off of Coke.
Gosh,
because people would be tell the restaurant secrets. I don't work in it no more. I can do whatever I want.
Well, it's not like people can't look this up or investigate it.
It's not a secret, but people just don't think about it. That's why McDonald's can charge $1 Cokes. Anybody really could. It's just they don't because you're losing profit.
Right.
And that's the same thing with theaters. I know they make most of their money off of concessions. I get that. But you don't have to price gouge. I mean, $6 for a Coke, $10 for a popcorn. Popcorn's not that expensive either.
No.
I mean, I can understand, hot dogs, I guess. I mean, if they're beef hot dogs, that would be expensive, but...
Yeah, but not as expensive as they charge.
Not $8-9 for a hot dog.
No.
$6 for a thing of nachos with a tiny cup of cheese.
Yeah, and then if you ask for I want salsa as well, then they charge you an extra like $1.25 for a little cup of salsa.
Or if you used to get 2 cheeses or a cheese into salsa, and now you get 1 cheese
and whatever else is next is extra.
Yeah, and if you want another cheese or salsa, heck, they probably charge for jalapenos now too. I don't know.
See, I love that it's like we're trying to celebrate National Cinema Day, but we can't help but crap on it because it's like there's not really. I mean, it's a great deal for that one day. But if you can do it for one day, and I'm not saying, because it'd be easy to say like, well, why can't Amazon Prime Day be every day? They're making tons of money. Well, obviously, if you string out a good thing for too long, it hurts the business.
Yes, absolutely.
I get that.
I'm not talking about knocking a huge percentage off of prices, but I do think we could be a little bit more reasonable in prices. And heck, I mean, I'm trying to take advantage of National Cinema Day. I'm trying to go see a movie Saturday,
and it's funny because you're trying to go see something that isn't included in our Stubbs A list.
I think it is now. I was looking. I think it's only like the first couple weeks that they won't do it.
Okay.
But I mean, either way, I'm trying to see Dragon Ball because I'm a fan, and it actually is doing really well right now. It beat Beast opening weekend, which Beast sucked,
rightfully so. I mean, Beast was terrible.
Me and my nephew, because he's also a fan. But yeah, I was like, well, that would be a good day because even if I do have to pay for the ticket, it'll only be $3. I could get a $5 popcorn and Coke. That's awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
Basically for $8, which is less than the price of a ticket.
And
anyway.
I'll say this: they are doing it on a Saturday, which is going to be a high traffic day. They're not trying to reserve it for National Cinema Days on a Tuesday. It's like nobody's going to go out and see a movie regardless. But I mean, that's partly why I liked what you said about the whole. They used to do it every Tuesday, the $5 popcorn and Coke.
They used to, yeah,
because it was like it's an entice you to get out on a day that isn't typical, typically busy for a theater. But it's interesting that it's like, okay, they're going to do this National Cinema Day, but honestly, other than Top Gun, that may be there's nothing out right now. I mean, Top Gun is the only movie that I can think is recirculating it's available on home for purchasing at home now.
I think that's kind of also part of why they're okay doing it on Saturday, because they want people to come in because there is nothing
Nobody's
out.
coming now. There's like, nothing available.
Nothing's out. Maybe if we give people $3 tickets, they'll come see something.
Yeah.
I mean,
not a bad gimmick. I mean,
I don't know. I mean,
if I wasn't working, I may go see something, but I have A-list.
As I'm saying, I mean, I think I
would go because of the popcorn and Coke.
3,000 Years of Longing. We're talking about that, but I mean, even that's not a film that's going to draw in mass audiences.
No.
Beast wasn't good. Dragon Ball's not drawing in mass audiences. I'm trying to think of what else is out, and I can't because there's just
you've got a few different kids films that are still out, like the Pets movie. I guess it's still out.
DC's League of Super Pets should still be out, but that's not drawing any
What's
viewers.
The one that came out at the beginning of July with
Paws of Fury? I don't know if that's still in theaters because it's already on Paramount Plus.
It's because it's bad and nobody saw it at theaters.
It's like Paramount doesn't make animated movies, and the one time they do, it sucked. So
well, it's funny because the smaller theaters that are probably still showing Top Gun, already charge the $3 ticket price anyway.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, there used to be Green Tree 4
$4 theaters. Yeah.
Now it's like now it's got to be like minimum of like
it literally
$8.
went out of business. The $1 theater, and then it's gone.
Well, I knew it was gone, but I'm wondering what the next cheapest is.
Oh yeah.
And I bet you it's probably not any cheaper than like $8. It can't be, because I mean it's like I just don't know of any theater that charges below that for ticket prices. I don't know, unless it's literally like 2 or 3 month old films that have been out forever, and even then those are going to be offered on your home releases anyway. But I guess we're go out and celebrate National Cinema Day. We still want to support. Go see a movie at a local theater.
Yeah,
go see a local cinema. Support them. If they whether they are celebrating Cinema Day or not, I
could see getting a little bit of traction. Actually, I guess people could use their $3 ticket because the Spider-Man re-release will be out then. So
there you go. Go enjoy it.
If you want to go watch it again, I mean,
Disney's just going to get more money. So
Sony
give them
and
cheap
Disney
money.
both.
Yeah.
That and the Jaws re-release is also this weekend. So I guess you can. If you want to see Jaws in IMAX, that's going to be $3. They said even IMAX tickets are going to be $3. So that would be fun. Jaws for $3 in IMAX. I would do that. I would do that totally.
It is interesting too, because I wonder. You think about it, but all the big chains are the ones supporting this. I don't know about your local chains, and if your local theaters aren't, then all the more reason to go there and support them and pay higher than $3.
To check with your local theater, because this article does say that a lot of
smaller theaters.
They said it's not just the massive chains; that there are a lot of local and small theaters that are also celebrating with $3 tickets. So there is a National Cinema Day website. There's a link in the article, which we will have posted. Yep. So if you go to the article and click the link that says National Cinema Day website, it actually has participating theaters based on your location. You just put in your location, it tells you who's.
Well, let's look at Louisville. Is Louisville on there?
Let's see. Ticket pricing.
I mean, we're going to move on to our multimedia segment here in a sec. I'll run the open, and hopefully maybe you found it then. And we'll mention it if we find Louisville. Yeah. Here's our open.
Multimedia.
Multimedia. So you go in, you just type in your zip code or city.
Okay.
And it pulls up theaters. So it looks like none of ours except for
AMC,
Cinemark. Well, no, the big ones.
The big ones.
So Cinemark, Regal, and AMC, all of them in our area are participating, but I don't see anything outside of those.
So Baxter's not.
Baxter's not. Escape.
Village 8's gone.
I think it's but there's also the Escape Theater off of.
Yep.
I was about to say Breckenridge, but I don't think that's right.
No, Bluegrass Parkway. No, that ain't right. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's only AMC, Regal, and Cinemark in our area. So we don't. No, sorry, anybody in Louisville.
You gotta go to the big ones.
You gotta go to the big ones.
And it really, again, I would only go to AMC because of the Stubbs A-list, and you get a $5 popcorn and Coke.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, well, if you got $3 to spares, I mean, and you want to go, there's Cinemark Preston, the Cinemark St. Matthews, and Tinseltown.
There's a bunch in the area.
So, yeah. I mean,
and we've known from recent ventures that those have,
they
pretty
have
good theater going
nice
experiences now.
So,
or go see something in IMAX. Yeah, let's talk about PlayStation.
Jaws, that's what's in IMAX right now.
Yeah, let's talk about PlayStation looks to go mobile with a recent purchase.
Yeah, there's some interesting things going on. Sony's trying to they've been making moves. I shouldn't say trying. They're making moves. I've not been impressed by all of them, but I think they are trying to go in the right direction with, we've seen their new model on PlayStation Plus. We have some skepticism of that, but they're trying.
They purchased Savage Game Studios, which is a mobile game developer. It looks like they're wanting to break into the Android/iPhone app universe of, I think, curated specifically for those platforms.
Well, they said they already have one AAA title in the work, though they didn't say what that is.
Well, and you almost have to believe and venture that it's going to be a PlayStation branded IP.
I would assume,
whether it's Last of Us or Horizon.
Well, it's kind of like when Nintendo
God of War
a few years ago launched theirs, and you saw Mario. Was it Run? I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, Mario Run. Mario Run.
They did the Animal Crossing on mobile, Mario Kart, and I mean they've all been fun. I tried out all of them, but after a while, it's just kind of the same.
Well, it's funny because
thing.
And I appreciate Nintendo for getting, they went into that with a plan of, we want to curate the experience, and Nintendo's always had this history of making sure that their IPs are protected by their own stamp of approval.
It fits the Nintendo brand and image, but
I feel like it takes a backseat to their biggest, which granted, I don't expect PlayStation to pour tons of resources into the iPhone
I'm
apps
not expecting
and
a
take away from
God of War,
right. But it is still a little bit unnerving because you're like, well, if you're going to go so far as to purchase a game studio, I at least see better leverage from PlayStation than, say, Nintendo, where Nintendo is kind of spreading resources within their own corporation to say, we're going to have a team that focuses on iPhone apps or Android apps, specifically mobile. Whereas PlayStation is doing what they've done best in the past, which
is
a
studio that's geared directly towards
already in the process of saying, we know this platform, we've made games. Now, I haven't researched anything about Savage Game Studios. I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they've made before, whether it's been successful or not. But I do know PlayStation's record when it comes to
Sackboy Run.
It wouldn't surprise me if Little Big Planet's one of them.
Actually, that would transfer well to mobile, even though I make a joke about it. I just hope that they do something that, obviously it's going to be geared towards mobile devices, and Nintendo did that. But while I don't expect the full experience of a PlayStation game, I hope they give us something a little bit more than what Nintendo has done, because really, once you play it for a few hours, Mario Run gets old, Mario Kart gets old, because they're not the full experience of playing a Mario game on Nintendo,
or you
a Mario
immediately
Kart
hit
game
a paywall.
Yes,
and it's like, this is immediately for cash.
You want to do this? You can play for 20 more hours to get coins, or you could pay $80. No,
and here's the thing: I expect microtransactions. It's sadly the name of the game on the platform that you choose. But just like they've been frowned upon in console gaming, the same should go for iPhone and Android apps. I'm sorry, but just because you're making something for that platform, and most continue to push the fray or push towards that into that fray in that regard, I'm like, hey, okay, PlayStation, this is your opportunity to do something different and to have a studio that you've purchased now that is in line with your other studios in terms of Naughty Dog, Insomniac. One thing I love Sony for, and the reason why people still, I think, purchase PlayStation primarily, are those exclusives that their first-party studios create. And most of the time when PlayStation buys a studio, they're buying those that already have a track record of making great games.
Yeah.
And they mostly, they basically purchase them and say, hey, you do what you do best.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
We're backing off. We're going to let you continue to create the games that we are already interested in. That's the reason we approached you in the first place. The reason we took you under our wing. And Xbox, with Microsoft, has taken a while to
they're starting to.
Exactly. They've finally caught on to that, and they've purchased a lot of great studios over the last several years. We've talked about it before in past shows. Mm-hmm. But again, game development is one of those. It's not like movies where you can pump them out in 6, 7, 8 months or 2 years.
Several years before you could see the fruits of the labor. So.
Right. It's a huge purchase and a huge risk up front that you have to willingly believe in.
Yeah.
And Sony has made the right moves before. The question is, will this be a right move?
I'm definitely interested, and I hope, because there's another thing that I do think Sony is sometimes bad at is not making taking the full potential of a product if it doesn't initially do well. PlayStation Vue, TV, the PS Vita. PS Vita has received a lot of life after they dropped support just from modders and jailbreaking them, because people have finally realized just how powerful and amazing that was as a handheld. But sadly, because they dropped support and never could convince people to develop for it, that full potential is never realized.
Right.
And that's something I could see happening with this too, is if they don't get a lot of traction at first and then being like, well, this isn't working out, we're going to drop it. When maybe if they came up with a creative way to market it could be so successful, because it could go either way. I mean, mobile gaming is very, it's been on the rise for years, but it's still a very different beast from console gaming.
Well, we know Apple has made the argument. They have Apple Arcade Plus.
Oh yeah,
I know Sean subscribes to it.
Yeah,
but it's like, the thing is and there are mobile app games that have creatively taken that platform to a legitimate level of competition with other gaming platforms. I mean, say what you will about, do you compare it to console gaming? No, but just like a lot of people get angry about the console versus PC space. Yeah. It's like, it's two different behemoths. It's two different perspectives. And truth be told, regardless of just a spec sheet of which one is better than the other, it's based on preference, and it's the same with iPhone gaming or iPads or just mobile gaming in general. It's a different kind of platform. I mean, I have my own fair share of games on mobile that I have played, and I've definitely purchased games on my phone that I remember playing as a child on PlayStation, like Final Fantasy 7 or 8, just because I thought it'd be cool to own in a mobile platform.
Older Grand Theft Auto's on there.
Yeah, Vice City and 3.
And I have the original Sonic on there.
And honestly, those are probably better ports than the recent crap that we got with the definitive editions on console, which garbage.
Yeah, Rockstar had to apologize. They didn't even develop the remake, but they still had to apologize and fix it. Which I get it. It's their property, and they don't want people to view it badly. But
right, because they have such a track record of being flawless.
But they weren't the ones that developed the remasters, and maybe they should have. Maybe they shouldn't have licensed it out. I don't remember the company that, kind of like Blue Point did, like Sly Cooper and all that. So,
or no, that wasn't Blue Point. Blue Point did
They did Metal Gear Solid, didn't they?
They did the HD remakes. Sanzaru did Sly.
They did the remakes of Sly. You're right.
And they did the fourth one after they did the HD remakes. Or not remakes, but remasters. But it's funny because the platform itself. I mean, you can't. I mean, and Apple's beat this drum too. Is they sit here and they say, people want to dog us for, you have to use metal and you have to. And granted, nobody's going to call the Mac platform, it's PC gaming ready. It doesn't compare.
No.
But they have a gaming platform, and whether you like it or not, it is the iPhone, it is the iPad, it's iOS. iOS has tons of logged hours of gaming.
I know people who love it. They love Apple Arcade.
And there's people too who will go to it for different experiences that you don't get anywhere else, because it intuitively uses the controls of the device itself. And I think that, to me, is what I have in question with PlayStation buying the studio. Maybe they're going after a developer that knows handheld and mobile devices to the extent that they want them to use their IP. Because I'll be honest, we have another article that we learned about tonight of potentially PlayStation trying to, again, reach beyond just the console space.
Yeah.
We've seen many of their first-party ports, such as Spider-Man, the Insomniac title coming to PC, God of War's coming to PC, and the great thing about these ports have been that while PlayStation has been slow to bring them to the PC, when they have brought them, they've been highly praised. They're modified and well tuned to the platform. Yeah, and if you I will say that if PlayStation does quality control in that regard, like Nintendo does with its IP,
yeah, they could be very successful.
They of course, absolutely.
I was going to say I mean, it's just part of the rumor mill at the moment. But we were talking about PC and Sony, but some PC gamers who have played, because obviously, anytime you get something on PC, one of the first things PC gamers are going to do are mod the crap out of it.
Yes.
So Spider-Man has received tons of mods already.
Kermit
PC.
the Frog is the one I've seen all over the place.
I love the Kermit the Frog one. There's some others that are a little bit more political. I won't mention that I thought were funny too. But PC gamers have discovered in the files for Spider-Man a something that kind of hints at the possibility of Sony getting it says more involved in PC. It mentions there's a reference to a PlayStation PC launcher, and nobody really knows what that means because obviously Sony's not going to come out and say what they're up to, but a lot of people are feeling like that suggests that maybe PlayStation is coming up with something where you can log into like PlayStation Plus and play your games or whatever from PC, kind of like with Game Pass. You don't have to have an Xbox. You can get on your PC and play Game Pass. Some people are wondering, is this PlayStation PC launcher a way to log in with your PlayStation account and play PlayStation games on PC?
We know that specific games from the PS3 era are only available to be played via streaming.
Yeah.
So will they limit it to only that? Because right now you can do PS Remote Play on your PC. But that is specifically logging into your PlayStation at home, using your home network to then transmit over the internet to wherever you are remotely. And the lag can be dependent on both where you're at remotely playing and your home network.
I've streamed games on like PlayStation games really well. Like I will say they're stream not the PS Now, PS Plus, PS3 games. I mean, if you do remote play, and I've played Demon Slayer that way. I've played Death Stranding that way on my iPad.
Demon Slayer, you mean Demon Souls?
Demon Souls.
Demon Slayer's that's
an anime.
Right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
That's an anime. I played Demon Souls that way, and that's a hard game to play streaming because if you don't have the timing right.
Oh gosh, yes.
But Death Stranding I played that way, and it actually worked really well. I would say the streaming aspect in that regard was really great. The PS3 streaming has some bugs they need to definitely work out,
which is odd because
is terrible. How do you get one right and the other one wrong?
Way back in 2014, when they bought Gaikai for their streaming platform, they rebranded it, of course, and then it was PlayStation Now, which has now been lumped into the new PlayStation Plus, and we've had our grievances there, regardless of library selection. Mm-hmm. The fact is, as we've known, that there is a possible third-party solution to emulation for PS3 out there.
Yeah.
Now, whether they tackle that or not, again, that's our own other separate grievances. But even if it takes not only the PS3 library of streaming that can only be accessed through the cloud, but even if it takes your other library games from streaming instead of on your home console to streaming off of PlayStation servers, almost in an Xbox Game Cloud kind of way, to a PC or to even a mobile device. Because that's the great thing about it. If I could do remote play and just with my credentials prove that I own a certain title, but instead of streaming it from my home console, but stream it directly from their servers because it gives obviously it'll give a better connection than just putting the PS servers in between, the connection from me and my home.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, that just gives me a direct contact to the home base of the PlayStation servers, and it would make that experience a lot better.
Yeah. Well, and they said that
but we already have seen with the PlayStation 3 streaming
how bad that is.
How bad it is.
And it is weird because, like I said, if I could play Demon Souls and Death Stranding streaming a PS5 or PS4 game, but they can't even stream PS3, I can't make sense of it. It's like I don't understand how Sony can botch that.
Right.
It does say that the files they found in Spider-Man are currently inactive, which makes sense. They don't have a PC launcher app yet, but it does also suggest that if they are looking into making this, then they've already have things in current PC ports to go back that they can activate later, so that you can
Well,
launch your
and
PlayStation
Sean-
from there.
I think he even responded when we were talking about it. He was saying back and forth about how this could even just be alluding to something almost like Steam,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
Ubisoft
And again,
store.
this is all speculation
EA
based
Play.
on some.
I mean, there's all these different store fronts for these different huge
Yes,
publishers and
Valve,
distributors,
where Steam,
which is
yeah.
Steam. There's all these different ways in which they get games to you. Steam's kind of a catch-all third party.
Yes.
They're very much like it. Obviously, is the behemoth in the PC front, and in fact, it gets a lot of flack, or not flack, but a lot of people flock to its the way it's done things because it's supportive
Yeah.
community base, and Valve's always been that way, but they've been at the forefront of a lot of I think, whether it be the Steam Deck in terms of taking your PC library on the go and having everything, but all these other publishers have tried to create their own storefronts. But then again, they try to, I wouldn't say nickel and dime you, but to force you into their wheelhouse of how they want you to buy things.
They want you locked into their ecosystem.
Right.
Like Microsoft, I mean, part of the whole thing with Game Pass and focusing on that instead of console sales is because they want to lock you into the ecosystem. They're willing to sacrifice maybe selling a few more consoles if they get you locked into only being able to purchase from Microsoft anyways.
Right.
They're already getting your money. And all companies are going to do that.
Right, but I could see PlayStation doing that being more so the direction they go in with this PS launcher. I think that's more or less what it alludes
What it might
to.
be, yeah.
Then say, basically whatever PC ports they bring to the table, that's how you access it. So that way they still receive most of the revenue.
Yeah.
Because let's think about it. Steam is getting a cut because you're on their storefront. Any developer or publisher is going to want to try to negate that. If you're a bigger publisher that can distribute your own content, you're going to get the cut 100%.
Yeah.
So why not force people? And PlayStation, as long as it's taken them to put, The Last of Us is one of their biggest IPs in terms of exclusivity, and it's not available on anything.
Yeah.
It took them this long to get freaking, I told Sean too, I said, Ghost of Tsushima is another one that I could easily see being a PC port.
Oh, yeah,
And it easily going that direction. But with Spider-Man and God of War being two huge ports but have been successfully received, I think that's another thing that PlayStation wants to do is they know they're not bringing these exclusive console releases. They're not coming to PC anytime soon. They'll come to, God of War is probably the most, the most recent in terms of when it came out as the exclusive versus the PC port. Because I think Spider-Man released, it might have been in 2018 or 2019. I can't remember. But it almost seems like 2 years that they wait until it comes to PC.
Yeah.
And they're obviously very selective.
2018's right. But
Okay.
I'd have to look. Yeah.
So actually, it would have been the longest. Like God of War would have been because it came out in 2018 and it released, I think, last year or early this year on PC. But again, PlayStation and Sony are going to be very strict as to what ports they select.
September 7th, 2018.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Spider-Man, yeah.
So they're going to be very particular about how they port, and they want to control that quality.
Yep.
And they want to make sure that the PlayStation branded, because now it's PlayStation Studios. So all their first party studios are under that one banner, and I think they want to make sure that it continues to have the breadth and I think the that known quality that people go to them for.
Yeah, they're working on the brand, and that's exactly why, like you said, they're going to make sure they focus on keeping everything a certain level of quality. That you see that with anything, not just the Sony. When you look at, we've discussed how horrible Warner Brothers treated the DC brand, and then you look at Disney and Marvel's brand. Branding is important, and once you put a bad taste in someone's mouth about your brand, it's hard to win people back.
Yeah.
You can't, once someone turns away from you, it is extremely difficult to get them to come back to you.
I think too with Sony, we know that they are also intent on making sure that, again, their bread and butter is consoles.
Yeah.
They don't have a dog in the fight with regard to PC. That Microsoft gets part of that. They get that claim to fame.
Extra
Yeah.
cherry on top really is PC for Sony, because they know that's
they're
not
going to
their...
try to find ways in which they can still benefit from I mean, part of their reason for doing this and bringing God of War and Spider-Man and other first-party exclusives to the PC is, hey, this opens it up to a whole new audience that is probably not a console gamer, but gives them these experiences to either, one, bring them over to the console to get it even sooner, possibly buy that in, or, again, we're still reaping the benefit because it's our studios that are getting the money via, PlayStation.
And again, I mean, this is all speculation based on some files some people found in a game. So, I mean, nobody really knows what any of this means yet.
No, time will tell.
But, yeah,
we can be hopeful.
We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast.
Yeah, it sure will.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate all of
Are you not entertained?
Damn right I am.
Yeah.
I'm always here.
RRR entertain. Triple R.
It entertained me.
It's the sequel to Triple X. People don't know that.
It's funny because RR comes before X.
I know, that's what's so amazing about it.
You're right. Vin Diesel could have been an RRR.
And it was better without him.
I don't know. It probably would have been pretty good with him in it. There's certain scenes.
He just shows up to punch a tiger and leaves.
And he's like, for family. That's it.
I just want to see him come in and with his Dodge Charger and racing probably Rom. He could probably race him on foot and still win.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Alrighty, guys. Right there at the bottom is all of our social links. Red Moon Book on Facebook, Red Moon Tweet on Twitter. And Red Moon Pics on Instagram.
That's pictures.
You can just search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. Find our channel, like, share, subscribe. We appreciate all the love. Thank you all so much for tuning in. But if you just want to send us a comment, a question, a concern, a criticism, have a query, email us right there at the bottom of your screen.
What's that? Where?
Right there, Keith.
Right here?
You got it.
Oh.
That's it.
Would it be RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com?
Just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. That's right. RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com. Sean will be joining us again next week. Again, he was out with his fam tonight.
Yeah.
He needed some time away
from us. The commanders will command him to live again.
They will. Those Indians will bring him back.
They're commanders now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Whoops. My bad. Gosh. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside not our normal new host, our original host.
He's gone.
He's gone? You're gone?
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.